Is August 24th. The time is 3:05. With us today, we have Alderwoman Bade, Alderman Warman, Alderman Bug, and myself, Alderman Franco. First item on the agenda is 23-0648, approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting held on August 10th, 2023. We have a motion by Alderman Warman. I'm sorry, I didn't hear a second. We had one?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak?
No, sir, no registered speakers.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go into the meat of the agenda. The first one is 23-0630, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 3.16 acre property located at 7S South 330 Eola Road to facilitate the construction of a new fire station number 9.
Chairman, members of the committee, good afternoon. Alex Minella, Senior Planner with the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Before you today, an ordinance authorizing the strategic acquisition of certain real estate located at 7 South 330 Eola Road for the construction of a new fire station. Well, does this work? Okay. It's needless to say that, but it is important that public safety is a priority, and we will analyze how such can be addressed with the approval of this ordinance. But before we jump onto that, I'd like to provide you a brief overview to provide you with the necessary background, the details of the real estate negotiations, and what to expect next. I'm going to pass the baton to Dan Osman, here present, Fire Deputy Chief with the City of Aurora. He will provide the background as to why we need this new fire station, and generally speaking, across the City of Aurora, how the different stations will play out to ensure safety.
Good afternoon. 2 years ago, we did a station location study. I believe you all have a copy of that. If you don't, I can get you another copy. That station location study was done on the past 3 years of calls that we responded to. And it shows the response times, how fast our members can get there to the scenes of the emergency. It had nothing to do with actual properties that were available. So with the development of on the North Farnsworth corridor up there, that's where their new Station 13 will be built. We have the property for that, and the current Station 9 will be removed. There won't be a need for it there. So the station location study, when they did that and they came out with the times, the ideal location is Weber and Eola Road. We looked up and down that corridor, and the property that was available was right across the street, and that's what this property is. We're not adding new members to the department to staff Station 9. We have those. The new members that we add will be to facilitate Station 13, which we have that medic group already hired, and it's in service. The Truck 14 people are in class right now, and the Engine 13 people will most likely be 2025.
Is that your presentation, Deputy?
That's mine.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to get to the meat of this item before you. So we have analyzed several properties based on the report that was provided to staff for ideal locations for responding times. We identified 5 different properties. 5 different properties that were up and down the corridor on Eola with different ownership situations. We tried to reach out to all 5 properties. Only 3 of those property owners of those properties responded to our unsolicited inquiry. And out of those 3, we narrowed down which property would have met the fire department standards to the maximum and also would have met our bottom line citywide. So we own then on this property before you, that illustrated in the picture, depicted in the picture on the right-hand corner of the screen, which is 3.16 acres. 3.05 acres is the vacant land surrounding the single-family home structure abutting Eola Road. Now, that property, after we reached out to the property owner legally represented, was offered to the city at $1.2 million. Now, we obviously did our due diligence and we obtained an opinion of value of the property. That value was around $950,000. So we went and we offered $900,000. The seller counter-offered at $950,000. There was no other additional room for negotiation, and we agreed upon a possible closing price of $950,000, which is $6.90 within the standards in today's market. If you consider also downtown, this is outside of downtown, but a still busy corridor. So we believe that $6.90 it's an ideal price point for this property. We would acquire the two parcels, 3.16 acres, and would follow once we reach an agreement, we reach the approval of City Council, then we can go to the next level, which is closing, set a closing date, and then the fire department will go through entitlement process, which entails a final plan, final plat to consolidate the two lots. Building elevations will be before you for additional vetting process, and landscaping will also be part of it, and then once all the entitlements are in place, construction can begin. If you have any question, I'll be more than happy to.
Questions or comments from the committee? Alderwoman Bade?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a quick question, Alex. Are there trees on that land, or it's absolutely vacant?
No, it's basically the vegetation currently in place is just wild vegetation, no trees, no quality trees are currently on the site.
And will it take a lot of efforts to clean up and make that land usable for us, or?
Not
It's in good
very,
shape.
no, not really, because it's just bushes, very not that tall grass, so it would not take that much. And we also conducted phase one environmental site assessment, which revealed that the use has historically been agricultural, so it's not required but recommended a possible phase two, and we will entertain with the consultant further negotiations or further interactions to get the phase two done as well.
Thank you.
Alderman Bug, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Who has the capability to put documents that were downloaded up here so we could all see it? Who has?
Well, I can upload the PowerPoint into the Legistar, and I share the PowerPoint with our IT department, and they can disseminate the
Oh, I
same
just
PowerPoint.
want to see if they could bring up a page now, but
Oh,
it would take too long.
I can.
So,
Which page?
page 157 of the
Oh.
analysis study.
Oh, okay, no, sorry. Do you have access to the attachments of the Legistar item?
You said 157.
Yeah, you gotta. Oh no.
I don't have currently access to the
Okay.
report that is part of your
Yes,
packet,
That's
but
what my question.
yeah, then can enlight you on that specific page.
So, this is Chief Osmond has it. So on that page 157, there's a couple of maps there. One is like a possible proposal with the relocated 9. And 13 on those 2 maps are at 2 different locations. So I think what would be helpful to the alderman at COW, if we got of course, this was a proposal looking into the future, and thankfully, we got right where we're looking at on 9. If we could get the map with all of the new station locations and the proposed 9 with the numbers, that would be an awesome map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get those to you. And so what this represents is page 157. I don't know if anybody else can see it or wants to, but there's the ideal station, the I, and the relocation. So initially, we had looked at a property farther north, and that's what we were looking to where to move. And then that wasn't available, and with the development of Del Webb and the things going out by the mall, it's better to be farther south. So that's what this shows, is this is where our initial relocation was going to be. But the study showed ideally it should have been a little farther, which the property we're looking at is exactly where that we want it.
Okay. And also
and
from
the
that
same-
map, is 13, is it is it the one on the upper map or the lower map? Because those are in 2 different spots also.
It's the lower map. The ideal was just a little farther north, but we already had the property. For years, we've had this property, and that's why it's going to go there.
Okay,
But it's very close in proximity.
all right. Excellent, thank you.
And to follow up on that, obviously, all the metrics that we use where we were put the station, even though they're not in the ideal spots, still meet the metrics, right? For
Yes.
spots times and stuff
Yep.
like that. Okay. Alderman Warren, did you have a question? Okay. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion by
Second.
Alderwoman Bay, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Thank you, Chief, Deputy Chief.
Thank you, and I'll get you the information.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 23-0681, an ordinance designating the Rivervine Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area.
Good afternoon, Chairman Franco, and committee members. Trevor Dick, Assistant Director in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Hope everybody's staying cool. This item and the next 2 are the final ordinances required to complete the creation of the new Rivervine TIF district. This process began over a year ago, beginning in 2022 when Council approved the RDA for a new residential building that required the creation of this new TIF district. The process alone for creating the TIF district has been going on for over 9 months now and has involved multiple steps that included multiple opportunities for public input. I wanted to mention that we also held a joint review board meeting that consisted of the taxing districts involved in this property, and that they voted unanimously in support of creating the new TIF district. These 3 separate ordinances that are required are, first, the one before you right now, is to designate the TIF district redevelopment project area. The next Legistar item before you is to approve the redevelopment project area, redevelopment plan and project. And then the third and final ordinance is to adopt the tax increment financing district for the City of Aurora Rivervine Tax Increment Financing District. For this item in particular, staff recommends the approval of the ordinance, which designates the new Rivervine Area Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area. I know there's a lot, but if you remember from the previous TIFs that we've done over the years, it comes down to the final step where we do the 3 ordinances, adopt, approve, and designate, and so that's where we are in the process. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments from the committee?
So move to approve.
Okay, so this is what I'll read them all, and then we'll just approve them all in one big thing, since they're all basically tied together. Okay, so the next one is 23-0682, an ordinance approving the City of Aurora Rivervine Tax Increment Finance District redevelopment project area redevelopment plan and project. And 23-0683, an ordinance adopting tax increment financing for the City of Aurora Rivervine Tax Increment Financing District. So Alderman Bug, would you like to make a motion to approve all 3?
Yes,
Okay.
motion to.
Do we have a second on that? Okay, any further comments or questions from this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And all 3 pass 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Dick, and I know you can have another one up here. Next one is 23-0685, an ordinance approving the City of Aurora Cross Street Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Project Area Redevelopment Plan and Project. I'll just read the other two since it's very similar. Oh, wait, did I skip?
84.
I'm sorry, I did skip. 23-0684, an ordinance designating the City of Aurora Cross Street Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Project Area. 23-0685, an ordinance approving the City of Aurora's Cross Street Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Project Area Redevelopment Plan and Project. And 23-0686, an ordinance adopting tax increment financing for the City of Aurora Cross Street Tax Increment Financing District.
Excellent. Yes, so thank you, Chairman Franco. Once again, Trevor Dick, Assistant Director, Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Very, very similar to what this committee just recommended for approval. This is also the final steps of the process in creating the Cross Street TIF district. I'll just summarize quickly that this process has been going on since March, and it's been over 6 months that this process has been moving forward in the creation of the TIF district. Similar to the last item, the Joint Review Board voted unanimously in support of creating this new TIF district. This is the final step in a very long, multi-step process. And as I mentioned, this is to designate, approve, and adopt the 3 final ordinances that are needed to create this TIF district. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Questions or comments on any of these 3 for the committee?
Yeah, quickly.
Alderman Bug.
Refresh us from our last meeting. What was the requirement that this met for it to be a TIF? This one wasn't, was this the blighted one?
This one was,
Everything.
thank you, Alderman Bug, yes. So the other one was the blighted, as well as the adjacent to blighted properties. This one was, I believe, is the term of conservation
Okay,
area, yes.
okay, that's it.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? All right, well, I will ask for a motion on all 3.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Alderman Warman. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we get into the the medical part of our agenda. First one is 23-0605, a resolution authorizing agreement with Humana to administer a Medicare Advantage plan for Medicare-eligible retirees for the period of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2025.
Good afternoon, Alicia Lewis, Chief Human Resources Officer. So this first item is we're requesting approval for the new rates for our Medicare Advantage program. Currently, we're at in general and market-wise, we're at a 7.5 medical inflation. This increase would be under that at about even to what's currently the medical inflation. It's a 7.4% increase rate for rates for for our Medicare plan for 2024.
Questions or comments from the committee?
So moved to approve.
We have a motion by Alderman Bug. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Next one is 23-0606, a resolution establishing Blue Cross Blue Shield Advantage HMO BCBS for group healthcare services for the period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
So Blue Cross Blue Shield is our HMO medical plan for the city. This is a one-year agreement. And again, with the help of Assured Partners, our medical consultants, they have successfully negotiated Blue Cross Blue Shield down to a 6% increase for premiums for the next year.
I have a question. So this Mercer is a government benchmark, and we're significantly higher. Is this what I read in here?
Yes.
Do we have any thoughts on that at all, or why it would be significantly higher?
Why are we significantly
Well,
higher?
yeah, I mean, when we're going to put in the wording, this is significantly higher than a government benchmark, why would that be? Or do you know why that would be?
Why we're paying more for
Well, yeah, I mean,
the coverage?
You know, when those adjectives come in significantly higher, it's a red flag for me. So why is it? Do we know significantly higher as opposed to just higher or a little bit? I mean, because that is actually, it is significantly higher.
Right. Well, Mike, do you want to add to it? I know, actually, our benefits are very rich, and we do offer premium benefits to our employees, and there's a cost for that. And so when you compare to what's out there in the market, the cost being higher, that's why we're higher than the cost of the average of the, within the average market. That being said, that's an attraction that helps to get our, good employees, gets people interested in coming into our organization.
So I guess what you're saying is that the benchmark gives a certain price, but we have a little bit more bells and whistles, that puts us higher, so it's not really apples to apples, it might be apples to oranges? I mean, I'm trying to figure that out, why, I mean, I'm trying to read between the lines what you're talking about.
Yeah, so on the benchmark, most HMOs, the employee would pay between $300 and $500 per day on a hospital admission. Our employees pay $0, so we have a significantly better plan than the benchmark, so that drives down the cost of the benchmark. Ours is higher.
Right, okay. I mean, I'm glad you explained it like that, because without that explanation, I'm thinking, why are we paying so much higher for the same, but it's really not the same.
We offer more.
Right, so we're getting more bang for the buck than
Absolutely.
the benchmark looks at more of like a ceiling, or a floor as opposed to a ceiling type of thing.
Correct.
Okay, all right, I just trying to figure that out, appreciate that. Any other questions, comments, Alderwoman Vade?
Thank you, Chairman. We are getting good rate for 1 year. How about we do it for maybe 4 or 5 years at this rate? Is it possible, or is it possible to get better rate if we contract for multiple years at the same time?
It's a matter of negotiation, and again, Assured Partners does the negotiations for us. We do have contracts, and you'll see in some of our other plans, we have multi-year contracts where we can lock in to a rate. Given the volatility of the market, it sometimes works for us, and sometimes it works against us. You could add to.
And real quick, could you just state your name for the record so we get it on?
Mike Baker, President of Assured Partners Employee Benefits Illinois. So it's a great question. I would love to be able to lock the insurance companies in for multi-years. It's the claims side of the equation, and specifically right now, pharmacy and what is coming out. You have two categories of drugs. One is specialty. So the average cost of specialty medications, especially in the cancer treatment side, those treatments are running $300,000 to $500,000 a year. And the gene therapy segment of the marketplace, in the next 5 years, there are 50 potential drugs that are going to be released at an average cost of between $1 million and $3 million for treatment. So the insurance companies are not comfortable in locking in more than 12 months. So it's a great question. We would love to get a multi-year contract, but that would be, it's not happening in the marketplace currently.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
I'll just make a quick comment, and correct me if I'm wrong, Blue Cross Blue Shield notoriously does not like to give long-term, I mean, from my history
do
of
not.
knowing Blue Cross Blue Shield, they like to go short-term.
Yes.
Correct, and at clients, so at your size, so we have the HMOs fully insured. Employees can pick the HMO. They can pick the Cigna's OAP or the HSA high deductible plan, which is self-funded. So we have about 450 employees on the HMO. The insurance market in general, specifically in Illinois, they are not doing 2-year rate guarantees, but if they were to, they sometimes will go to a 2-year rate guarantee. They cap that at employers that have 150 employees. Because that market's less predictable, they'll pool it and they'll say, we want to buy market share, so we will entice you with a 2-year rate guarantee. When you get to the size the city of Aurora has, your claims are a lot more predictable, so they do not want to lock in for 2 years.
Any other questions or comments?
Motion
Hearing none,
to
do we have a
approve.
motion? We have a motion by Alderwoman Bay. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you. All right, next one is 23-0607, a resolution establishing OAP and Value HSA health insurance plans and rates effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
So again, we have locked in, with the help of Assured Partners, under market rate at 4% for our OAP and our high deductible plan. Both of those are our self-insured plans that we have, and so we got an agreement with them, or at least we were able to, with Assured Partners, negotiate down from a higher percentage to 4% for a one-year contract for 2024.
Questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Bug, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bade. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Next one is 23-0608, a resolution establishing health and dental insurance monthly rates of contributions for pre-Medicare retirees effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
So our pre-Medicare plan is for our retirees that are under 65 years of age. That is the group that we had carved out several years ago to establish different rates so that it wouldn't impact negatively our active rates. And it's worked well for the city, and we've got a lot of cost savings with looking at the claims and the history. We have established a 4% increase, locked in for a 4% increase for that group, for our retirees.
Questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Bug, second by Alderwoman Bade. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 4-0. Next item is 23-0616, a resolution authorizing agreement for administrative services with Cigna Health and Life Insurance Company for PPO and Value HSA, group health, prescription benefits management, flexible spending, dental, vision, COBRA, and stop-loss plan administration for a period January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
So in addition to Cigna being our PPO provider, they also are an administrator for the administrative services, and so they provide the management of all of these services. And so the rate that we have agreed to with Cigna to administer our services for next year is a 3% increase from the prior rate.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
This is an additional, a 3%, so the 4% that was just approved for the pre-65 and the active plans, that's rolled, these rates increase with Cigna on the administration, stop loss, and the PBM services. That's rolled up into the 4%, how we got to the 4% funding increase, so.
Thank you.
Question, Alderwoman Bade?
Could you please explain what does this mean? Individual stop-loss insurance renewal is increasing 13.8, reduced from an initial 19% increase, resulting in 80,000 reduction.
This is the stop-loss insurance renewal.
Okay.
13.8.
So the city's self-funded on the Cigna OAP plan and the Value HSA for the actives and the pre-65. So you pay the stop losses, the city pays the first $350,000 of any claim. Anything above that, Cigna immediately starts paying. So that premium started at a 19% increase. We negotiated it down to 13.8. There's been a spike in claims over $1 million on plans across the entire industry of 45% in the last 2.5 years. So that is, the insurance world says that's all leveraged against them. That's why they started at 19%. You're capped at $350. So if we have a $1 million claim, the city pays $350, Cigna pays $650,000. If that same claim happens in '24, medical inflation is running at 10%. or 7.5% is what, so there's the range, but for easy math, 10%, that $1 million claim becomes 1.1 million. The city still pays 350. So Cigna says we're taking additional risk because of inflation. So that's the stop loss piece.
Thank you. Makes sense.
Any other questions or comments?
Motion
Hearing
to
none, we have a
approve.
motion by Alderman Bay. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Alderman Warman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Next one is 23-0623, a resolution establishing Cobra Insurance monthly rates effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
So Cobra coverage is for employees and their dependents that separate from the city, and by law, we're required to offer continued coverage for those individuals. We charge them at the full rate that the city gets paid, plus an additional 2% for administrative fees. So though the rate adjusts based on what our premium is for the year. And so you'll see that these are the new rates for 2024.
Questions or comments from the committee?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderman Bay. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Alderman Warman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes 4-0. And we're going to skip down to the end to keep these all together and go to 23-0693, a resolution authorizing Sun Life Insurance to provide life insurance services for January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025.
Sun Life is our vendor that provides life insurance coverage. What you'll see here, you won't see any changes in rates. This is actually a 3-year contract that went into effect last year, but we only did 1 year approval. So this reflects basically the same rates, and just asking council to approve the remainder of the 3-year contract.
So we won't see this come back until 2025.
Correct.
Questions or comments?
Just
Alderman Bay?
curious to know, why didn't we do all 3 years at the same time when we,
It was an oversight.
okay, thank you.
It was brought to my attention. I asked the same question. I didn't.
Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bade, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next one we're going to is 23-0635, a resolution to approve change order number 1 with Geneva Construction Company in the amount of $160,000 for the Spruce Street water main repair and additional citywide resurfacing project costs.
Good afternoon, Tim Widener with the Engineering Division. So as you see in Exhibit A, there is a pretty nasty water main breakout on Spruce Street, so we need to do some street repairs. Since Geneva is our overlay contractor and going to be relatively close to there, we thought we'd ask them for some agreed unit prices to kind of do the different scope, and figured it'd be better to have them do the work, to kind of take advantage of their economies of scale. So Exhibit B and C are the scope of work and estimate. We're asking $60,000 for that project. And then also, based on our work to date so far, we're thinking the concrete, and especially the concrete curbs, come in a little high. So we're just asking for an additional $100,000 just in case we need it to complete all the streets this year, primarily to kind of keep up with some of those overages on our concrete quantities that we're seeing. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from the committee?
Just a general question.
Go ahead, Alderman.
With where we are with our resurfacing right now, and prayerfully this is the last 100-degree day, do we foresee getting through all 10 wards, or are there going to be some possibly we're going to have to push till next year?
Right now, we're on schedule. Geneva's all caught up with the paving. The concrete contractor had some other work, so they left town for a couple of weeks, but they came back in this week. They're start pulling curb, and they're pouring again starting tomorrow. So right now, everything's on track.
Sounds good.
Any other questions or comments? Alderwoman Bade?
Did we have contingency in the original contract?
In terms of specific items be ordered by the engineer, we did not. We include some contingency quantities because a lot of our design's kind of done over the winter when sometimes, snow makes it hard to see what's going on with the streets. So in one aspect, yes, we had a little extra quantity just in case we needed it, but in one aspect, we didn't have a specific items to be ordered by the engineer, so, which isn't allowed by IDOT.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bay, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 23-0647, a resolution authorizing the chief financial officer to enter in an amended contract not to exceed the amount of $6,246,715 with Axon Enterprises Incorporated for the continued support of body-worn and in-squad cameras, tasers, and associated suite of related services provided by Axon Enterprises for the Aurora Police Department.
Good afternoon. I am Lieutenant Brian Handel with the Aurora Police Department. I'm the Central Services Lieutenant. I am asking your approval of this resolution for approval of the amendment to the current Axon contract we have, which will also add 2 years to the current contract.
Questions or comments by the committee?
Sorry, I have a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking up. I was just reading.
I
Sorry.
stopped because the clicker wasn't
Yeah.
working for me there.
That's fine.
There we go. This presentation is also attached to the Legistar, so feel free to follow along or review later at your discretion. But our current Axon, we have 3 contracts with them. The first one was entered into in 2021. It included body cameras, squad car cameras, Taser 7s, and then additional a la carte software needed to support that and provide some extra services. In 2023, we entered into a second contract with them for Maya 90, which is a employee and citizen survey device. And then just earlier this year, we entered into a third contract with Axon to provide more body cameras and licenses, software licenses to use them. Just a few key items of the current contract. I won't read them all, but it does include all of our body cameras, all the licenses to use the body cameras, the Taser 7s, we have 150 of them right now. We have 150 Fleet 3 cameras, which are the squad car cameras. And then there's additional software, performance software allows our supervisors to randomly review body camera videos. The Respond Plus software provides GPS location on the cameras and live streaming when they're recording. We have drone software, not actual drones from Axon, but the software used to view the video on them. And then, as I said before, the My 90 software. We equipped all our police officers by the end of January 2022 with body cameras. We were 1 year ahead of what the law required. All of our marked patrol cars and transport vans have the Fleet 3 in-car cameras, both forward-facing cameras and cameras that capture the interior of the car. And approximately 110 officers are currently issued Taser 7s. Another 16 are starting right now, actually. They will also be issued Taser 7s. As new officers are hired, they go through the training and they're issued new Tasers. Just a few of our successes. Part of the digital evidence management software that Axon provides to house all of the body camera video, the squad camera video, and other digital evidence allows us to send invites to citizens if we're on a call and they have surveillance video, Ring doorbell camera video, photographs, and they can digitally submit that to us to be stored in our evidence management system. Using the Fleet 3 cameras, they have license plate readers in them. We've recovered, again, since August, 43 stolen vehicles and developed over 200 leads in different cases using those. Again, as I mentioned, supervisors are randomly reviewing body camera video for policy violations. The APD Critical Incident Intelligence Center, KIC, has used the live streaming feature to assist when officers can't use their radio due to it inadvertently being switched off while they're struggling with somebody, chasing somebody, and made able to give out updates to responding officers so they could direct them to their location, which is very important for us for the officer safety. And then finally, those My 90 surveys that I talked about have allowed thousands of community members to voice their opinion and give their opinion on how the police department responded to their calls. Did they feel that the service was adequate? The amendment to the Axon contract, this new contract, would consolidate all 3 of our current contracts into one contract. It would add 2 additional years of service to the contract. It does include everything from the previous contract. It's just now bundled together for some cost savings where previously we had to buy some of the software a la carte. Body cameras will be upgraded to their newest one. We currently have Axon Body 3s. Body 4s have just come out, and we're due to get them with our equipment refresh, so we'll get those under the new contract. What kind of kicked this whole thing off was the release of the Taser 10, which is Axon's newest Taser. I'll go over some of the differences between that and what we currently carry with the Taser 7. But city officials, police department officials were very impressed with the advancements that they made. And so we started exploring how we could obtain Taser 10s. And the easiest and most cost-effective way to do it was to have this contract amendment and rebundle everything together. We also will add a few other software parts that I'll go into in a minute. And for the comparison, you can see our original contract and then the new one, which would, again, everything with the little Axon logo, the little yellow triangle, is now included in a bundle, whereas the check-marked items were previously purchased a la carte. Really quickly, those new Axon Body 4 cameras, we will be getting them regardless if we stay with the old contract or have the amending contract. The new contract gives us an additional equipment refresh, so if they come out with Axon Body 5 cameras during this contract, we would get those. But the Body 4s are an improvement. They have a larger field of view, more battery life, and a detachable charging cable, so when officers have to jump out of their squad while they're charging their camera, they're not breaking the cords now, it just detaches. Again, as I said, we will get the Axon Body 4s with the current contract and the new one, but the new one does give us an additional refresh halfway through that contract lifetime. The tasers remain our most effective, less lethal use of force option, not just when the probes are deployed, but the de-escalation features on the taser combined with verbal commands produce compliance very, very often. As I said, we talked about the deployment that we currently have. Officers have to certify annually if they carry tasers. That is classroom instruction and scenario-based training. And then both the Taser 7 and the new Taser 10 will automatically activate the officer's body camera if it is armed, not just probes deployed, but just turning it on activates their camera and actually all cameras in the area. The Taser data is actually stored on the Taser battery, and that's uploaded to, again, the digital evidence storage system, evidence.com, and talks about when it was armed, how many times the officer pushed the trigger. The new Taser 10s even can tell what angle the officer was holding it at. So if they're pointing it towards the ground while giving commands, or if they're pointing it at the person who's non-compliant. The Taser, another reason we're looking to enter in this amended contract is Axon has historically released new Tasers on a 5-year schedule. When we got our body cameras, got that contract right in the middle of that 5-year release. This would put us in line with their 5-year release so that 5 years from now, when we're looking to renegotiate a new contract with them, they would most likely be issuing Taser 11 or whatever they decide to call it, whatever their new Taser would be at that time. So that lets our police officers have the most effective Taser technology that's out there. You can see the difference between Taser 7s and Taser 10. I'm happy to answer more questions if you want to get more technical, but the key things are the Taser 10 is more accurate because its probes are deployed in a straight line. It contains more probes in its cartridge than the Taser 7 does, so there's more opportunities to successfully deploy the probes and have that electrical circuit completed where we get the incapacitation of the suspect. And then the effective range is almost doubled. It goes from 25 feet to 45 feet. So that time and distance gives officers more time to negotiate, to de-escalate before they have to deploy or use lethal force, depending on how the situation unfolds. A few of the other new features that are bundled in, they're automatically included in this. There's a video conversion tool. Right now, if we upload videos to evidence.com, and it's from a third-party video player, even the city surveillance cameras from Genetech. It'll store the files there, but they have to be downloaded from evidence.com again and then viewed in the Genetech player. This would allow those files to be viewed right in evidence.com, so it's a time-saving feature. Also bundled in this package are licenses for Axon's records management system and their internal affairs professional standards system. Both of those, we don't have any intention to use in the near future, but if we do go out to bid for a future RMS system, this would put us, Axon at an advantage because we already have licenses included. There would still be additional costs for implementation, but again, that's in the future. I just wanted to point out that it's included in this bundle. The cost of the new contract, the initial price without any bundling discounts at all comes out to a little more than $8 million. When they factored in the bundling discounts, it comes down to about $7 million. And then through negotiations, we were able to negotiate a final price of just over $6.2 million for the length of the 5-year contract. So from the initial price without discounts, it's almost $2 million of savings. And that breaks down the year-to-year cost. The reason there's such a big jump from 2023 to 2024 in the new contract is because the finances for 2023 are already budgeted. Axon worked with us and agreed that they would fit within what's already been approved for our finances, but of course that would raise the prices on the other 4 years a little bit to make up that difference. The 2023 finances are budgeted for in IT's budget. Next year that switches to the police department budget, and that is in our proposed 2024 budget. And finally, just a quick summary of some of the advantages to this amended contract. It locks in the prices now through 2028, so again, it gives us an additional 2 years of locked-in prices. It consolidates the 3 current contracts we have into one, and again, we get those bundled discounts. We get the newest in TASER technology, so our officers can be equipped with the best, less lethal use of force option there is out there. We have an additional hardware refresh for our body cameras and our fleet cameras in the middle of this new amended contract. And then again, there's those other small pieces of additional software that are bundled in and could have future potential benefits for the department. Now, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, first of all, thank you for the thorough presentation. I think the questions we might have already been answered, but thank you, because that was really
You're
good.
welcome.
Alderman Warren,
No.
do you have, no, just, okay. Anybody else? Alderman Bay?
I guess I'm sorry, I do have one comment. I've used that technology in the past when they'd ask for footage, you have to put it on a zip card or whatever you want to call it, then you guys have to come pick it up. Now it's a simple,
We literally can send you a
Simple
text or
process,
an email, and yep,
yeah, it works
Send it back.
seamlessly, yeah, so it's a much smoother, that's for sure, for everybody, so.
yes.
I just want to share that with everybody, so.
Alderman Bay?
So these new tasers are heavier or about the same?
They're
or-
actually very similar to the same size. They're just a hair bigger. They actually require a new holster, but that comes with it and everything. But otherwise, they if I can go back, they look very similar, and their sizes, that's the actual, to scale size, I mean, not to scale, but size by size comparison, it's not like one is twice as big as the other. They're effectively the same size.
Alderman Bug, you have a question?
Yeah. Just on the, I guess probably your last slide, the benefits, the 5, yeah. So just a clarification for myself and my colleagues, is the contracts through 2028, so December 31, 2028, or is it to 2028
So
through December 31st, 2027?
Part of it depends on when the contract's actually signed, but once it's signed, the final payment would be made in 2027, and that would cover us for the year beyond that final payment. So if approval goes through the normal process here and we can sign this before, by the end of September, then this contract would go through September of 2028.
Yeah, they don't line up directly with calendar years, Alderman. There's a little bit of a lag right now, just depending on when we actually get the contract signed, as Lieutenant Handel
Okay.
indicated.
Excellent. I think you did an excellent job in putting this together.
Thank you.
Reading the Legistar, the heading though, I think if you just put in the words over 5 years, $6 million over 5 years, that
Little easier to
makes my
digest.
blood pressure go down a little bit. When I just read the $6 million plus, I was thinking that's over 1 year. I was like, wow, that went up a lot. So, I mean, we could leave it the way it is, but I think in understanding, lead with, this is over 5 years.
I will
And then-
definitely do that.
Yeah, that's a good lead in.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Donnell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see we're getting a trade-in on the tasers. Are we trading in the cameras as well?
We do, but there's no discount because we're getting a one-for-one equipment refresh. So next year, we will actually be turning over all our body camera 3s and getting new body camera 4s, mounts, docking stations, everything with that.
So I've been at conferences with smaller communities who are complaining about the cost of, do these cameras maybe go to other communities, or?
No, because it's kind of like, I don't know your experience with cell phones, but after about 2 or 3 years, the battery doesn't hold the same charge. It's the same thing with the body cameras, and that's one of the big reasons they do the equipment refresh, is that the 100% charge when they're new out of the box is not the same amount of time that they're going to be operable as the 100% charge 3 years later. And then there's just the normal wear and tear. These get wet, they get dirty, they get bumped and knocked off and everything. So I don't want to speak for Axon, but I think they want to give even the smaller departments, the best they have rather than our, beat up used ones.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bay, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item is 23-0651, a resolution authorizing Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with Tatisco Incorporated, Yorkville, Illinois, in the amount of $219,179.90 for the installation of new river railing near the West Benton Street Bridge and replacement of deteriorated railing near the Tivoli Plaza.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer, Department of Public Works. Pretty straightforward in the description there. There's a section of the river flood wall that does not have the decorative railing on top of it, and that area has been activated more and more with parades and whatnot. So this is directly north of SciTech and west of the swimming stones. So we thought it would be a good idea to get that railing installed, and actually this is not budgeted this year, and we're intending to do this with risk funds so we can get it done as quickly as possible. And since this is the same type of vendor who does the repair of the river railing, we're coupling that. That was a decision package for downtown services. They did about $50,000 last year and look to do $50,000 this year. We might increase that a little bit if we can find some additional funds. Abby Schuler has various items in her budget. If there happens to be more, we'll do a little bit more if we can. We've basically been replacing it as we go with the newer one that before we've been trying to paint them and keep them going, but it's just much easier to replace them all together because a lot of it rusts out and they get weak at the bottom. So we'd be doing both of those activities. We went out to bid and we did receive 2 bids. We're going obviously with the low bid with Tatisco. They do a lot of work in the city, and we've been happy with everything they've done, and obviously I'm more than willing to take any questions.
I have a question. So we're talking about potential safety risks, and we identify 250 feet that should be done, but we're only doing 168 because of budget constraints?
No, that's the replacement. So the replacement, yeah, we've been just kind of picking at that. We find the worst spots and we do those. No, the safety risk, we're doing all of that.
I just wanted to
The
make sure
entire.
that we weren't
Yes.
cutting corners on safety, because that wasn't reconciling me. Just
No,
want to make sure.
yeah, no, we went out to, we're doing as much as we can for that 50, and like I said, if we can find more in her budget, we can do a little bit more. There's always railing that needs to be replaced.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments from the committee? All right, hearing none, do we have a
So
motion?
moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Bug, do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Alderman Warman, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0, thank you. Next item is 23-0655, a resolution increasing the authorized amount due to the Illinois Department of Transportation for the city's share of the Illinois Route 34 grade crossing structure over the CNN Railroad project to $320,509.59.
Jason Bauer. So this project, just like any other projects that we have with IDOT, we do an intergovernmental agreement that lays out what we're going to pay for, what they're going to pay for, but it's always based on what actually gets done. So when this agreement was passed in 2013, based on the estimated scope of work and the installed quantities, they ended up going over that, and we just got that final invoice from them. The project was done back in 2016, and we always get these significantly later. So we have to increase the amount that we're going to give them. We did find an account that we can fund this from, and The bulk of this was due to different water main issues that they ran into. We had a lot of 16-inch water main that needed to be relocated, and I know I was out there a lot trying to help them find it. Our atlas maps were not really accurate for this area, so the bulk of this is related to the water main.
So did you just say that this is from 7 years it took to bill us?
And that's par for the course, yeah.
All right. I always know there's a little bit of lag time, but that seems
Yeah.
extraordinary. But
Yeah, and what we normally do is we accrue it, and we work with Linda Reed in finance, and we keep track of them, and, they'll pop up here and there, and we're like, wow, they finally billed us.
Limitations at all? If after X amount of years, sorry, you're out of luck? Or no?
No, unfortunately, and the funny part is when they do send them after they wait 7 years, they usually give us like a week to pay it, so.
Ouch. Okay, it was interesting. Alderman Bug, you have a question?
Yeah. We all know that our part of this project was a very, very small amount. There was a lot of negotiations that happened, and for the whole project, it was very small, our input, which we were elated about. So I won't belabor this too much, but I do remember way back when we were there on that day, the mantra from our department and IDOT was that this was on time and under budget. So when I saw this come up today, I was a little surprised. That was mentioned many times. That was basically what we're talking about. That project was on time and under budget.
Yeah,
So-
I can't speak to the entire budget, but if the entire project came in under, that's very possible, but our share, because they didn't pay for anything water main related, so that's on us, because it's in their right-of-way, so anytime we need to move out of, KDOT's right-of-way, IDOT's right-of-way, that's all on us. So the overall project could very well have come in under budget.
Okay. Okay, like I said, we got this for a steal, we'll say, so. Let's pay it and go.
Well, right, that's right.
Let's pay it and go.
Any other questions or comments?
Before someone changes their mind.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. 7 years will get another bill. Hearing nothing else,
So moved.
we have a motion by Alderman Bug.
Second.
Second by Alderman Warman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you. Next item is 23-0687, a resolution ratifying the purchase of upgraded SCADA system software for the Water Production Division. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Alderman, Chairman Franco, and members of the committee. Jeff Anderson, Deputy CIO. We're here asking for ratification for, and it's a timing thing. We have not actually paid for this yet. We want to pay for it as soon as we agree the contract, and then purchasing will help us do that. This is the computer system that supports all of the brains behind the water production facility, right, is what SCADA is. We are currently licensed. The software is currently licensed. It's not running. We just don't have the support right now. So if something catastrophic happened, we wouldn't be able to turn to the manufacturer and get support. So that's why we wanted to bring this forward and get this done as quickly as possible. And then just some other topics that may come up here is that, these are all GE components. That's why we went to GE, and then Gray Matter is the sole distributor for GE support for Illinois. So that's why it came through as a sole source.
So I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Is the total price for this $57,347?
It's $62,046
All right.
for 3 years.
All right, why I didn't see that. Where is that amount at on here?
I believe that's at the very bottom of the GE document on the very last page.
It's on page 4.
Okay, sorry.
It's on page 4 of 16 in the contract. That was,
Okay.
57 tons.
Thank you.
Well, you said 62? Why am I missing that?
I think he said 64.
64? Do you have that on there?
Even I see 57.
I say 57,347,
Yeah.
quote total. Does that sound right?
Yeah, thank you, Jolene.
And the reason I mentioned, well, there's really two reasons. First of all, I wanted to see it. Second of all, is that something we could put in the legislative text so we don't have to dig for that too far?
Absolutely.
But I'm still not seeing that amount. I might be missing it, though.
So it looks like I have an older version on the Legistar item.
There
Go
are
ahead.
two, I think
Yeah.
there are two invoices. There's one on page 2 that lists $5,270, and then if you skip back a couple pages back, it goes to $57,347. So I believe there are two, there's an item that we're also picking up for $5,270.
So we're adding those two together?
Yes.
We get 62,617.
Okay, so that's the combination of those two.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Could we, like I said, could we get that in the wording of the text? So I don't have to dig for the price, because everybody's gonna wanna know numbers, when we look at that. And then the other thing I have, is there some dialogue that still needs to be straightened out between us and the city that we may not be able to go forward with this today?
Between us and the contractor, the vendor, you mean?
Yes.
Ultimately, and Patrick and I have gone back and forth with the vendor on this, and I always appreciate his help on these things, is that we're down to, ultimately, they have to agree to, in the Illinois FOIA Act, they have to agree to the Illinois Prompt Payment Act, and that we don't indemnify. Those are the three items. It's really, it's GE as a large corporation and waiting for their counsel to respond back.
So typically, when it comes to finance, that's already taken care of, but it's not quite done yet.
Correct.
Okay, so what is the urgency on this? Because, if there's, what we do sometimes in all the committees, if there's urgency, we put it on unfinished and go to COW and talk about it. It would be better if it just came back here unless there is a time element that, we need to do. So I'll ask you, is there an urgency that we couldn't wait till come back to finance and then do later on, or does it have to get done?
So the concern is that, we are licensed to run the software and the application, right? If something happened catastrophic, right? Then we would not have support to be able to call GE for that support to maintain the system. That's the gap we're in.
Oh,
right.
so when you use the word catastrophic, that means
Well,
urgency. It's just
correct.
that, because we
Yeah,
can't
correct.
take that chance. So
Right.
I guess today, based on what you're saying, I would ask the committee if we could put this on unfinished, make sure that dialogue and the vendor contract is all certified and everything, and then we can deal with it at the
That's
committee
it.
of the whole. If that would be the wishes of the committee, I would go that way, because catastrophic means urgency to me, so. Any questions or concerns about that?
So this
So
would,
move it with no recommendation.
Yeah, we move it on with no, well, yeah.
everybody feels comfortable it'll be resolved by the COW, or?
I just think that there is a time element here that we would,
Well, that's
because
what
we're gonna
I'm
have a
saying.
fifth Tuesday
Right.
week, and now we're talking 3 to 4 weeks, so that would be kind of tough on us. I
Yeah.
mean, just God
Well,
forbid
and that's what I'm
something
saying,
happens.
you think it'll be resolved if you put it on finished, it'll. by the
Yeah,
time
we'll just
comes
deal
in,
with it there
you'll-
instead of, because typically I would like it to come back to committee
Yeah.
if possible, but this seems like there's a little bit sense of urgency, and we just don't wanna get into that, so we don't wanna waste any
I's dotted,
time.
T's crossed, and
Yeah.
we should be good to go on. What I'm saying, once it gets to COW, there's
Yeah.
no possibility that it won't be rectified by COW, is what I'm asking.
Well, if it isn't, then we'll deal with it
We have to
at
deal
city
with it.
council and then finish. So we can put it, we can move it to
Yeah.
there without a recommendation. If it's not, then we go to city council. But at least we're not missing a
Slowing it.
chance to keep it to where it needs to be in 3 weeks. So I would suggest that we do that. We just move it along without a recommendation.
And
But any
all-
other questions or comments about the details or nuts and bolts of this?
Alderman, just to point out, COW isn't until September 5th, so it gives us just less than 2 weeks, because next week, having the 5th week,
Right.
we should be able to get that done.
Okay, yeah, and it makes it even worse if we had to come back, or if everything's pushed, we lose a
Right.
week no matter which way we go. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, based on what I'm hearing from the committee, I think that we move it forward without recommendation, and then hopefully we get it done by COW.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions or comments on that? And that's all for your presentation? Okay, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Jeff. That concludes the agenda. Is there anything else to come before the finance committee today?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Warman, second by Alderman Bade. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And this meeting is adjourned at 4:08. Thank you.